Hello everyone, I'm not supposed to be working today. In fact, I'm not. I'm halfway up Mount Hood. We're doing a little bit of a trip up there. Probably going to ride the Skyline ski lift and go and play in the snow in the middle of August, because that's what you do if you live near Mount Hood. So today we have left our home on the west side of Portland. We've driven through Portland, we've driven up Highway 26, and I am now at the Ski Bowl West DC quick charging station, topping up our 2013 Nissan LEAF with a bit of extra charge so that we can ride all the way up to the top of Timberline Lodge, to the parking lot there, and then we'll be able to ride all the way home from there without having to stop to charge, because gravity is a wonderful thing. The reason I'm making this post today is I arrived at this rapid charger and there was an error message on the screen. I had to reset it. There was a button, press to reset, and then it started charging my car quite happily. But checking on the PlugShare app, which is an app that you can download for iOS, Android, there's also a web version. People locally have been reporting issues with this charger. Last week there were a couple of people who couldn't charge, and so this charging station right now has a rating of 8.2 out of 10 because it's been unreliable up to this point. This charging station, as much as I rely on it to go up and down Mount Hood, is a bit notorious for having issues, especially in the winter when there's 6 foot of snow. There's no, there's no protection on top of this. There's no little shelter or anything, and I don't know why there isn't, because that would make it far easier for Environment to come and fix this in the winter. Because what happens is snow gets packed around the back of this unit, and then the charging provider said, well, we can't come because there's snow everywhere, or we can't clear it because it's all iced up. It's something really that should be dealt with, because these cars can get up the mountain quite happily on snow tyres and snow chains. It reiterated the thing that we really need to start getting charging providers to put in redundancy. Now, of course, Tesla does a really good job there. Tesla's charging redundancy plans are amazing. They are the best in the industry with a supercharger network. Not only do you have multiple superchargers in one location, but each supercharger is modular inside, meaning if one of those little modules breaks, the rest of the charging station continues to operate properly. Now, there are some charging providers coming to market now with products that are standard agnostic. That means they have DC quick charging for CHAdeMO, they'll have CCS and a couple of other charging standards. They are modular and they work fantastically, but this unit here doesn't. When it's working, it's working. When it's broken, and there's no redundancy. So the thing that we really need to look for here is more redundancy. Why do we need more redundancy? Well, it's pretty simple. There are lots of people out there for whom 35 grand on a new car is just too expensive, and so they have to look at shorter range options. Shorter range options, either meaning a new car that does less range per charge, like the current Volkswagen e-Golf, like the current Hyundai Ioniq, which I know has a supply problem right now. Lots of people have talked to me about that. There will be a video coming on that too. Those people need charging stations like this to be completely reliable if they want to make longer distance trips in their car. Now, this might appear to be contradictory to the comment I made the other day about, EVs, even short range, sub-100 EVs, sub-100 mile EVs meet the needs of most people, and they do. This week, we've been on holiday, and so we've made use of rapid charging stations. I think this is the 4th or 5th rapid charger that we've used in a week, which is fine, because previously to that, we went for a period of about 3 or 4 months where we didn't touch any rapid charging stations. So, I still stand by my statement about long-range EVs, and you don't necessarily need them to drive electric or to make that switch. You do need to be committed to have that extra time if things go wrong. But anyway, back to my statement. We need to have these reliable charging infrastructure, because if we want EVs to go mainstream, and that really is required for us to make an impact on the amount of oil we use and the amount of pollution we create, and I'm sorry, the effect we have on man-made climate change, it's real, get over it. And you can, by the way, if you disagree with me, you can shout at me at the comments, and you can swear at me, using the excuse of free speech to claim that everything's fine and the climate's not warming when there's tons of scientific evidence to prove it, I'm sorry, it's stupid. So even if you're not doing the switch to electric cars for environmental purposes, I'm also doing it for economic purposes, and I just prefer driving these things, then at least, you know, acknowledge that the switch does need to happen. And I'm rambling, but I've got on my high horse, I'm sorry. In order for electric vehicles to become mainstream, in order for more people to adopt them, and that includes people who can't afford brand new cars, we need to have more reliable charging infrastructure. Otherwise, cars like this are just going to end up in a scrap heap before their time. And that's not going to do us any good either. So, I want you to tell me what you think solutions should be to making charging infrastructure more reliable. I used an EVgo charging station the other day for the first time, and I was really impressed because it had a credit card reader, it just worked, it was quick, and it was reliable. I know that there are other EVgo stations that have had issues in the past, and I know that there are AeroVironment charging stations like this one that are far more reliable than this one. This one just happens to be up a mountain and does get extremes of temperature, but should work fine. But if there was another unit next to it that was redundant, that had a separate fuse box, had a separate power supply, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So I want to know in the comments below what you think we need to do to make electric vehicle charging infrastructure reliable, so that more people can buy shorter range EVs and more people can afford to make the switch to electric, because that's my goal. I love Teslas, I love the Tesla Model S especially. I think it's an awesome car, and if I could afford one, I'd have one. I think the Tesla Model 3 is going to be revolutionary. I think the Nissan LEAF is a great car. I think the Bolt EV is a great car. I want to see more EVs on the road. I don't care what the badge is, what they're made, who they're made by. I would rather see more people owning an EV, and that means making the cost of EVs more affordable, and that means bringing the support for second-hand EVs and making it more practical to have second-hand EVs, whether it's battery replacements, whether it's more charging infrastructure, etc, etc. So leave your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me what you think would be a good solution moving forwards. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Thanks for listening to me rant. I'll be back later in the week with more normal shows. Until that time, thank you for joining me. Don't forget to support me on Patreon and keep evolving. Bye.